Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I was just going to pop on and say I told Dave because we were running a couple minutes late. So sorry, Dave, you just walked back in the middle of me doing my introduction. That sorry, we were a couple minutes late and we were going to be right back. But there you are.
Pacific Coast time, so just
Yeah,
squeezing in a couple bites while I can.
that is. So you were what, 3 hours difference from me?
Yeah, it's 5:30 over here. Yeah, I had my brother's wedding last weekend, so I was on a bit of PTO. I've been drinking out of a fire hose trying to come back to work and get the season started. So a lot going on over here on the West Coast, but happy to be on here. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. So speaking of a lot going on the West Coast, you guys have some new teams going, and basically the Yetis team is back. You've still got the Tacoma Tritons. You guys have had basically a very steady league of guys, and you're kind of building off it, but it's more of that. You kind of know everybody, and it's like a slow building. But now it seems like it's kind of blowing up. The last couple of years has been like a slow building. The Yetis have a whole youth program I see with their stuff.
Yeah, yeah the Northwest Division's been here. A lot of these teams been around. Even the Yeti's been the new addition to the Northwest. The Triton have been new to the Northwest. Um, the I said it's last year on here. The Yeti have always been here. They've just been out on in the peninsula, hiding in the woods like a Yeti would be. They've had they quietly just had a U.S. Boxla team for years. To the point where I was talking with Shaden from US Box, and he didn't even know where the Yeti were from. So it they all adds to the lore of them being the Yeti and coming out of the woods to be a built program like they are. I think last year they're getting their feet underneath them, trying to figure stuff out. It's we had our first game of the season between them and the Triton 2 weeks ago, and it's good to see both ends how the teams have changed. The Yeti got some reinforcements. They brought in the goalie from up north in Canada. I'm pretty happy about that because I get my backup goalie Ryan Ranke back on the Seattle Kings, who went off to help start that team. And the Triton have a whole new look on their squad. The two goalies that were on the team previously have taken over. A lot of guys have defected to other teams, but they've really started a new core that was really exciting to see in that first game. It was a battle. The Yetis got up early. The Triton started to come back, and we had a game towards the end. Couple mistakes down the end really put it away for the Yetis. A couple mistakes by the Triton. But that's first game jitters. You see what happened to the Yetis in 1 year. I'm excited to see how those two teams match up at the end of the season again. Like I said, it's a brand new core. Those two goalies that were running the team aren't even playing goaltender anymore. They're out running because they need those players. They've lost a few numbers, but like I said, it's good to see that core build up. Um, then we're getting the Everett Express back in the league. They've been a standalone program for a couple of years. Played the first year with the NABLL, along with the Portland Voodoo at the time, and are excited to come back. They've been very active in building relationships with British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest lacrosse. We had a game against the Victoria Blazers, which are another really fun senior C team out of Victoria. Always down to run around
How
and
did that go? How
find a
did you
game.
guys stack up against a senior C team?
So we without me and net, I'm no offense to Ryan and Alice, they're the two guys who took over. We lost the game. I was at the wedding, but it was a lot of new guys. A lot of guys short on numbers. This is the second year in a row I've thrown a game on the calendar without ever really looking at what was happening that weekend. And
Without checking
well,
the calendar, you just
yeah,
put it on.
yeah, both times it's come back to bite us. But we're looking to get back up there and give them another go at some point. See if we can get the full squad underneath us and give them a better game.
So
And
do you
then
guys play like round robin days where you went and you all three will play each other the whole time, or was it just back to back days and you happened to watch their game too?
back-to-back days is what we were doing. That was with Victoria this week. They came down and played both us and Everett this weekend. Um, the Our schedule this season will be mostly single games, one game a weekend on a Sunday around 1 o'clock Pacific. We have one weekend coming up at
Oh,
the
that's cool,
end of this
right?
month.
Like midday, it's just like a nice, you make a day of it and everybody kind of does their thing. And
Yeah,
it kind of frees up your weekend too. So if you got Friday, Saturday, yeah.
we're hoping to have a good turnout to the after bars. Really,
Well, that's what I mean.
we're
It's a Sunday leading up to football season. Everybody hangs out, and then everybody goes to the bar. And yeah, no, it seems like a perfect time. And then you kind of unwind, go to sleep early, hopefully, because you're exhausted, and start work on Monday.
yeah, and the one time we're stepping away from that single game format is going to be that last weekend in June. All the teams are coming out to Bremerton. We're gonna we're everyone's playing. It's Everett's playing Bremerton and Tacoma, and we're playing at Bremerton and Tacoma and swapping games. So it's not everybody playing everybody, but it's gonna be everybody in the same town. Hopefully, everyone's sticking around overnight so we can have a good meetup and really talk about the future of what the Northwest is going to be. Like you said, you can feel the energy growing, and we have to harness that and direct it. Yetis have their youth program. Tacoma's is starting youth clinics, hoping to work that way. We're in conversations about a play day with a team out of Montana, in Eastern Washington, an outdoor rink next summer, where we're hoping to launch our youth teams with that. Just really starting to build a community out here and do it how Northwest things have always been built, like kind of in house, at home, working together, um, and building up what we want. Obviously, we're going to play into the bigger picture with that, being part of the league, being part of national tournaments and stuff like that. But it really has to start at home, where we can travel. And I mean, I know when we were playing Portland, which it's a shame Portland's not around anymore. Their arena got sold, and is now a pickleball indoor arena.
Oh yeah, they had the phenomenal jerseys too. And the guy that ran their social media, I don't know if he's not involved in box lacrosse anymore at all, but like he was great. We tried to set it up. I don't think we ever ended up getting him on the show,
Yeah,
but it is unfortunate. I was wondering what happened to that team.
yeah. It's just been it's just not. The players are there. The desire is there. It's just there's no facility right now, um, and there's no one ready to step up and invest big time. There's a couple of guys who are willing to step up and run it, but they're young and may not be able to front the money that you need to be able to front sometimes in this position.
Deposits, jerseys, different things. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're at some point they'll be back. There's going to be lacrosse in Portland. I mean, some of the best lacrosse players in the world right now are from Portland, and it's it'll find its way. But that's part of the community that we're building. They're going to be involved just as much as um,
I
anybody else.
I mean, you're kind
So
of shooting yourself in the foot with that, though. As the programs become stronger, we might not see the Seattle Kings, in the Nationals every year because since I've been involved, you guys have made it both years, and you've placed very well I mean, it definitely respectable finishes. You didn't show up and get blown out.
yeah, we've lost in the semifinals both years now. We 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 blew a pretty good lead in the last year of the IBLA in the quarterfinals, so we should have been around there. So we've always flirted with it. It's just never been able to make that transition. I mean, no excuses. No one cares who you left at home, but it'd be to see our full roster realized out there at one point would be really awesome, and we're really trying to build momentum towards that. Hopefully this year, we're trying to prioritize nationals um, a little more than regionals. Maybe play a few men short at nationals, but making sure that we're playing with our guys together who are already willing to make those trips, already looking at booking um, refundable tickets, hopefully. But
It's I mean, well, it's hard though because one thing is, so I mean, we talk about how like the league the last 2 years it was in the middle of the country. This year you're going all the way east. It's a far trip for guys from Seattle. I mean, just like it will be as I'm sure at some point we're going to go to the West Coast. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it's going to happen and it is what it is. But I mean, that is one thing that I would like to thank is I don't always get a chance to say it, but really without the players putting it all out there, I would not be able to sit here and do these shows and get all these amazing highlights and just have like met so many of you guys and you put it all together. But no, it is a huge commitment for players to make it out there. And like you said, even just to get if you can show up with 12 guys and it's different. You play a one game a week season and then you go to nationals, and that's kind of how the leagues are by us is a lot of them play that one game a week and then you go to nationals, and it's almost like you need two different teams, one for the regular season and a bunch of young college kids that can run for 3 days straight.
Yeah. I mean that our team definitely has a younger field this year. Our my class, the group that started, were right on the precipice of life happening, of buying houses, moving away, and getting jobs or having babies. So it's sad to see it. It's coming quicker than we'd hoped, but um, we are moving towards a younger and younger team. Hopefully, filling out the defensive end a little better this year. I think that was a big priority of ours. Um, Lost a big piece in Kevin Powers, one of our big lefties, a guy who he was dunking behind the net in nationals. He's out in Sweden helping running the Swedish national team, or help working on building the Swedish national team. Um,
There's a
One of
lot
their
of
main
guys
score.
from the NABL. Sorry to cut you off on that one,
Yeah,
but there's quite a few guys from the NABLL that are involved in national teams. I mean, as you say that, you got Neil Paulus with the Yeti. He's with the Netherlands. Tony Gray is with Team Mexico. And I'm sorry, what was Powers is with the helping out
the
Swedish
Team
kind of.
Sweden.
Yeah, building it
Yeah,
up, and there's quite a few. And then, I mean, you spent some time in Onondaga, and you've got Mr. Shenandoah is over helping, I think Ireland it is. So yeah, it's there is a lot, and it's kind of as you talk about the challenge with this league, but it's also what this league is designed for to bring in the new talent. Those guys will need a couple years off, and then everybody starts coming back as their kids get older and old enough to come watch the games. And
yeah. The Yeah, I think the reason we see so much of a crossover between the international game and our game is it takes that same sort of commitment to for us to drive 6 hours down to Portland for a regular season game. Um, you have to be that same kind of nut that's going to fly, use all their vacation time to fly to Italy and try out for the Italian national team, and then come back for camp in the spring, and then you're going to Utica. Like it's a lot of flights, it's a lot of travel. It has to be something you love, something you're dedicated to. You're not, no one's getting paid to do this. It's a lot of fun.
yeah, no, it's an incredible experience. I am super excited for it to be in Utica because it's a place I'm familiar with. I know the setup. I don't have that panic or the anxiety of what are we walking into? Are we going to have enough time to get ready for the first game? Because we all try to get there early, but it seems like you never get in the facility, or we're waiting on this, we're waiting on that. I am super
Yeah.
excited about that. I can't wait for another nationals. So I would like to go out west. I really hope the board listens to this and maybe next year somewhere sunny. I'm sure it would really help me sell it to charity if we could go somewhere sunny and warm on the West Coast. I mean, it's a little rainy in Seattle, but we could do Seattle. I've never been there.
Yeah. I mean, we have to figure out our facilities out here. There's the only way we'd be able to do it in Seattle is if we get the Kraken facility involved, where they're able to host like sponsorship events where they have this black rubber pieces they put down. They put up their tents, whatever convention style. Um, So all that's stopping us right now is the good turf, and if we could get them to get two, then that'd be great. So at some point down the road, if we can get these things off the road where there's youth events and there's a reason for them to put it up for a weekend, because it'll
Spend the
probably
money.
cost them,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd probably cost them $3,000 just to change that over,
Well, that's
however much.
a big thing. Like the one of the lacrosse tournaments got kicked out of Utica essentially because of money. They weren't renting enough field time to make it worthwhile for Utica to do it. For what the ice time that they were getting, it just like didn't justify them keeping turf on the amount of fields they wanted to, and they were like, "Sorry guys, you got to go, or you only get one rink because we can't give you like two turfs for 6 hours a day. That just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense."
yeah, it's the tough part of where we're at. The reason this game worked in the first place in Canada is because they had the abundance of rinks. They couldn't keep them melted, and I hope with the where the Kraken is growing, I hope we find that balance where there is a bit of an abundance. It seems like every second of ice time is taken up now from now till forever already. Um,
Yeah,
but
from
if it just keeps
5:30 in the
growing,
morning till 9 o'clock at night, you get the crazy guys waking up before school and
yeah, or the 11 p.m. beer league games, a very real thing out here.
oh yeah, we still had those. That's what I mean is like you said though, but anybody who doesn't know hockey, it is a you really will have ice time rented that much. It's tough to change out turf just because to get that much use out of it because even in the summer you could honestly rent 12 hours of ice time without much of a problem, whereas turf it's hard to find 12 hours worth of it in some of these communities without guys that have soccer facilities like Ohio and stuff like that are just dedicated turf. They would never have ice on it.
Yeah, I mean it could end with us having to get creative and get building our own box. Like we could cover it, we could lay concrete and put up some boards for cheaper than it is to convince these guys to switch over for us. We just need to find the right spot and start
Tonawanda
making a
style.
mecca. Yeah.
I like
Like,
it. I tell you, we love going there. There's nothing better than when it's and eventually if you put a roof over it. I don't know why they haven't, but I love it's so cool to be outside watching guys play. I don't know. It kind of brings it back.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what we're hoping for with that play day with the Montana team. We're gonna bring our men's team. We're gonna bring whatever youth teams we can muster. But have the Yeti come in to bring the rest, and just have a fun day where we're all outside from 9 to 5, whatever it ends up being, and then taking over the two little small towns. It's a little mountain town, and Winthrop is the name of it. The Kraken hosts outdoor events there, but it literally 2 blocks downtown, a couple hotels that we're gonna fill up, and
That's cool.
um,
That you can
it'll
walk
be a really
around.
fun
Yeah.
weekend.
It
Yeah,
sounds like a blast. But all right, we've actually done 20 minutes on the West Coast already, which I thought we were going to spend 5 on, but I should have known better than that. A big thing of what you do is the refs. I noticed as somebody who I mean honestly, I probably observe more of the lacrosse game than most people just because I watch every minute of every game I'm standing there. I noticed a vast improvement with the officiating from year one to year two. I think you guys, I don't know if anybody brought it up on the comment cards because I know you guys have the teams fill it out. But for me, it was super consistent. There was no inconsistencies with the officiating. You knew what everybody, what they were calling. And by the championship games and by the games that really mattered, it was just, yeah, no, kudos to you guys and the every official out there. You guys really nailed it.
yeah. I don't deserve much of the kudos for that. That's just the officials we have. I'm the one making calls and connecting these people. The we had like the the initial approach to what I took was what Scott Joyner taught me at first was just we have to build a network. We have to connect people. We have to know who our key players are in each area and understand how each one of our regions work. And by understanding how these regions work, we get to those. I'm literally just spitting what I said backwards. Get to those key players so that we can make those changes because they're the people who are going to be picking the referees who are going to be working these games. They're going to be the ones who give them comments when they see something on the floor. They're going to be the ones who are active and just as involved and bought in as the players are. And I think we had an amazing group of guys at nationals who are so bought into that, to the point where it's going to be really hard to change to new guys next year. We're going to have to find a balance of that, because we want to share the opportunities. We want to share the growth. So we had eight officials there and 9 regions last year. We got 10 regions this year. We need to make sure that people aren't getting left behind, areas aren't getting left behind. The more we can bring people together, the more we can have these conversations about what um, over and back looks like, because it's looked different in different regions for years
Transition
now.
line versus midline, little things like that,
Yeah,
8 second, 10 second. But I mean, one big thing I would like to, I guess, ask is where have you guys found success finding guys? Like, it's easy if you're near a Can-Am league or you're near the border, but for those guys, have they had to go for field guys? Is it hockey officials? What has been the
the I mean, it depends. Program to program depends. At the end of the day, the home team's responsible for bringing the officials there. And that's shaped itself out in a lot of different ways. For the most part, you see assigners taking over regions, choosing someone to be their head official, and they'll bring in their guys. It is a lot of field refs learning the game on the fly, or using the tools that we're starting to give them to learn it now. Um, yeah, so we are hoping to expand in the next few years into more recruitment. Trying to reach into hockey official associations, trying to reach into rugby official associations, um, and pick out the people who want to do this longer and better. Because at the end of the day, it's the best thing we could do would be to bring in guys who have played, which we're starting to get a group of retired players who have experience in it, know what a push is, know how this game's supposed to look, and that will be the easiest way. And I think sometimes it takes some convincing. We're shooting to have um, build off of that in our games in Bremerton, where two teams will be playing, two teams won't, and we're hoping that the two teams that won't will join the one experienced official we have on the field and start to learn some of that knowledge, start to fold them in, have them take some personal responsibility.
Well,
Um,
and it's
I'll do
easier
a
if you
repeat.
have kids, though, because like kids is slower. It's very hard for an official. I don't know if people realize. So, like, I was streaming all weekend and I filmed Tykes through midgets and then juniors. Well, Tykes through midgets is it's a lot of fun to film. It's easy to zoom in. We can get
Yeah,
great things. You get a slower look at it. But that step up to men's, it is just so fast. It's so hard to if you, especially if you've never been an official. And it's one thing if you're a field official, though, you still have a very wide perceptive, like you can see things from farther back. Like it all happens so fast, so tight in box. It's kind of a different thing. It's got to be a hard. It's sorry that just occurred to me as we were talking, and I was
yeah.
like, where do you
The,
find youth leagues are sweet, but if you don't have it,
the that's kind of one of our focuses last year working with the NLL, was how to break this game down into a more manageable group, because you look at it from the wide picture and it's chaos going on. Then you learn a little bit about the game and it's righties and lefties working separately, so 2-on-2 and 3-on-2, and it's easier to see it when you start to know more and more. So our goal was to give these officials systems of where they're responsible for whenever they're on the floor. In the 3-man game, it's really cut down to the crease, the middle area, and the high point. And that's your responsibility. That's where you're looking at, but you have a soft eye on everything else that's going on. So just because something's outside of your zone and it happens 2 feet away from you, you can still make that call. So trying to slow down that pace was the goal for last year, and I think we did a really good job of it, which is hopefully where some of that progress you saw came. Hoping we're seeing more progress over the country, not just in the eight officials we've touched so far at nationals. But the focus for this year is going to be consistency and rules, like I was talking about with the over and back, or some crease rules. We're going to use we're going to break down some videos, hopefully have them out in the beginning of July, of really explaining these rules in details, so the intricacies of them, which there's only a few things in this game that really get complicated, and the crease is one of them.
cylinder, yeah, cylinder versus is how I think of it. I mean, is there more to it than that? Where you're talking,
The
it's the cylinder versus the you can land in the crease as
versus
long as
yeah,
it crosses the goal line.
when you can land in the crease, when is it that you're diving into a goalie? When is it that that you're first man through? That I feel like that's probably a call that gets missed a lot around the country. Where if you're the first man through the crease, on through your opponent's crease, you have to wait for one pass until you're able to engage in the play at all. That's a pick, that's a loose ball, that's whatever it ends up being. You can't go through the crease and take part of the play. So small stuff like that I feel like in pockets of our country probably get missed is what we're trying to target, to try to close off some inconsistencies. Being able to cross the midline on a on an on a face off where it's not an over and back, as long as you haven't taken a step towards the crease. Small stuff like that, which is usually pretty explainable, but a lot of times people just don't think or know to explain it. And in the heat of a moment when a one team's yelling at you to make the call in their way, it's not a really good space for you to learn that. So that's where we're looking to do. The other part we're trying to build off of is getting some feedback, tapping into the resources we have, through World Lacrosse and the Canadian Lacrosse Associations and the NLL, to get some virtual observers involved, get eyes on our officials, and get some notes out. We're going to do it for each one program for or one game for each team. They send in the film to me, coordinator at NABLL.com. I will get that out to to the virtual observers, get their notes passed back, and get some feedback. Hopefully, let these guys grow a little bit.
That's video footage is such a big part for learning anything, even if it's not you that you're watching. Just being able to watch other people, like you said, if you guys are going to make some videos, kind of explaining the crease rule and go through and make some things, hopefully that clears it up. And that way, it's a uniform thing though, so everybody just goes and you looks at it. It's not questionable. Everybody saw this video. This is the rules we play under. That is one thing. So it gets confusing more so for people coming from other box lacrosse leagues than guys that just follow the NLL because you guys essentially follow the NLL rule book format. So it's fairly simple to take an NLL fan or somebody who watches that and you can understand the rules. Some of these guys that come from Canadian pockets or the Haudenosaunee like community where they had the Can-Am League, you essentially play 3 periods. There is no over and back unless you're man down. I did it the opposite way. I learned the NLL. I went to the NABLL. After 2 years of that, then I got invited to the Can-Am, and I was backwards. I was like, "Wait, what? Why is that not?" And it took me quite a
Yeah,
while to. But I mean, just for referees and officials, that's a huge difference.
yeah. I mean, we run into issues with it often. There's certainly not every conversation with local assigners has gone as smoothly as we've hoped and expected. None of them have gone bad. That's what I'm really proud of. That's what I'm sure of. There's every one of these conversations is met with respect and understanding of what they've done for the area that they're at, and I'm not just calling to be the big bully from the National League. Um, but it's you see referees who it's like you're asking me to do one weekend of games and learn a whole new rule book. This is what we do. We've stepped away from the NLL rule book for a weekend or two because the referees in the local area didn't have don't know the NLL rule book and weren't willing to learn it for one game, one set of games. It's the consistency is tough, and that's where a lot of it comes from. I mean, a lot of people learn it in the youth games. US Box has their own set of rules too. So hopefully, as things grow, we'll see consistency, but probably not. You'll always see changes coming in. Someone will have a bright new idea and it'll move through the game at its own pace. And if it's a good idea, it'll take over. If it's not, it'll die down.
You see it all the time. It's like different sticks and different equipment. The one thing I always wonder, so the net size too. So that what size net? I don't want to misquote it. What is it you guys use? You use the big boy nets, right?
We use the NLL nets, yeah, 4x4.9, 4x4.9. I said that correctly.
Yeah, yeah. No, I thought that was, but I didn't want to say it if you guys didn't use the biggest ones there.
Yeah, the CLA nets are 4x4.6, and 3 inches doesn't seem like a lot, but it really does make a difference when you
It's a lacrosse ball.
yeah, it's a lacrosse ball. It's the width of it. It's that perfect base. It was hard for me for years to switch back and forth. I went from playing in the President's Cup to trying out for an NLL team within weeks or at the combine within weeks, and I got to figure out my all the pacing that I did, all the movements that I did for entire
Entire
6 months.
summer. Yeah.
Yeah, are now wrong. I've been leaning on my stick. That's huge. So I don't know how to move my right hand anymore, and I got to relearn everything. So it's been really nice to be in the NABLL for this most recent round of USA tryouts because it's NABLL and ALL. I've been in the big nets for the last 2 years straight. I've been using small sticks for the last 2 years straight. I haven't gotten back into any of my bad habits that I built playing summer lacrosse, and so I'm really grateful for it. It's definitely helped me with my consistency.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is funny to think of that because I forgot that the summer lacrosse nets were smaller until you said it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Me and Stamper had just talked about that a couple weeks ago because I didn't realize that the those summer nets were smaller. And like I said, the other thing is that the you don't have over and back in 10 second unless you're man down. That one really throws me for a loop. I forget that all the time. That's got to be tough for an official.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I've never called a game in the CLA. I'm happy about it. I've only done NLL rules, but
Also, so on this episode too, I put your email on the bottom of it. So if anybody
thank
has
you.
any official questions, you can just right in the description at the bottom of our list of links. Essentially, is Dave's email. You guys can just click on that. It'll bring you right to Dave, and then you guys had basically any officials questions and any if you have video to send to them or even just a link to send to them so he can watch it. That yeah,
Like I said at the start of this, a lot of this is about me connecting community. Please reach out. Please get in touch if you want to talk about lacrosse. If you want any resources, whether you're playing with us or not, the point of this league is to be everywhere and connect everyone. So uh, whether we're planting the seed now for it to grow in 20 years and we finally get a team in that area, we'd love it. Very happy to have anyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we kind of talked about this a little bit, but let's give anybody who doesn't know a little bit of background to you. So you actually you ended up in Onondaga playing. How did you end up in Onondaga? Let's go to that because that to me is amazing that you ended up there.
Yeah, I played in the 2015 World Games in Onondaga. I was 21 years old, maybe 22 when I got my first start. I can't remember when it was around my birthday. But I really fell in love with the town, really fell in love with the game, saw the way people connected to it. The NLL didn't work out after that, and said if I'm starting for Team USA and that doesn't even get me a call back, then what is going to? So I stepped away. I played rugby for a couple of years, and then Reggie Thorpe gives me a call, says, "I know you're not playing, but we'd like to see if you still can," and brought me back out to USA tryouts, and it worked. And yeah,
Reignited the fire.
I lit the fire back under me. I remember coming back and I kept the starting job, even though I wasn't playing. I came back and the work I did in the 2 months leading up to it got me back into shape, and I got the start against Canada, and we got smoked. But I go walking back into that locker room before the game. It was just felt so good to be back and to reinforce that I could do what I was doing. And so, but I'd spent so much time traveling back and forth between um, my home near Seattle and Canada, like sometimes 4 hour drives coming back at 2 a.m., waking up at 7 to go to work, go to school, whatever it ended up being, was wearing on me. So I was looking towards some place that I could live, work, and play all in one city, and that's where I ended up. I was got a job with Syracuse athletic department. I was doing ticket sales. It might actually lead us to some announcers for you, preacher, at in Utica. We've connected with the athletic department, seeing if any of the students would like some opportunities. But we're yeah, that's how I ended up at Onondaga. I mean, a couple years out there really felt like a lifetime. I made some really good friends. They
It's
really took good
it
care of me.
Yeah,
Great
it's
community.
different out there. If you've never been to Onondaga and you play box lacrosse or even are a lacrosse fan, I just got to see the field house for the first time the other day, and I filmed the
Oh,
minors
really?
there. Yeah, I had never been
Yeah.
to it, so I'd spent the 2 years there, and of course my tripods were locked in the arena, so I couldn't get them. So I've got my camera, I'm holding it stacked on suit, a hoodie and a
Yeah.
pillow, and I've got my freaking like $10,000 camera I'm holding on a railing, crapping my pants, and I'm gonna drop it off the railing and break it as I'm filming these kids. But we ended up getting
That's
it done. It
awesome.
was, but yeah, that place is gorgeous. I can imagine what it's like in the summer when you roll the windows up, and
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah. It was great. It was one of the best places in the world for me to get ready for those 2019 games. There wasn't anywhere else where I could get more shots. I could every day there'd be someone down at the field house. So you'd send a couple texts around, and you never know who show up
there's
and
always
get
somebody there.
working.
There's always
Yeah,
some. I mean, you could at least find a 12-year-old kid there to be shooting on you or something because there's always somebody either in the outdoor box or down at the field house inside. Yeah, it seems like there's
you
always people all over.
you posted the video of my buddy's nephew doing a backhand shot that went. It seemed like it went a little viral, at least on my feed. That there's kids are nasty.
They're
They're
I
there.
their Tykes team, I think could be as long as you let them play with rules they understood. I'm pretty sure they could have beat my daughter's modified team.
Yeah. They're they're just around the game so much. Whether it's just people shooting around, they're on the other side of the floor watching down and seeing how the men act, seeing how they hold themselves in practices, seeing how they work hard, seeing how this matters to them.
Every little kid
And
is on the floor in between the periods. They make it a family event. It's not one of the places where the kids aren't allowed. They're just like, put your helmet on,
yeah,
go out and shoot away. And it's not
that
like an organized thing. That to me was so cool. That's why we leave the live in picture thing up for Can-Am games, because they always have the kids down. And I ended up finding out some of the
yeah,
kids really like it. And they're like, hey, we were on your YouTube. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, you leave the picture up. So now we
yeah.
always leave it up because of the Can-Am
I think
kids.
these are highlights.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
they love it.
yeah, that kid, that nephew that threw the backhand. He was he was in our locker room the entire time that I was in Onondaga, like in diapers, and he's seen it since then, and he's gonna be sick because he a lot of times I'd say this a lot when we talk about development in the Northwest. Like a lot of times it's really easy to become the best guy at your practice or in your 7-8 team in your local team and not really realize that there's anything else out there to strive for. To have these connected communities where you're seeing what men's lacrosse, what senior lacrosse can look like, but B, if you're at a school where you see guys go and play Division 1 lacrosse at Syracuse, at Hopkins, at any of these giant places, like you see that there's something more achievable than just being the best guy at your practice. And I think that's a huge key to getting development done. Teaching them what could be possible.
Absolutely. Really starting with the youth programs, and you get the kids, the officials, and everything kind of grows from there. That is one thing that this league, not so much for guys like you because you had a lot of box experience, but it's taking guys like you and introducing it to a bunch of field players, and you're kind of doing it with the officials too. I mean, that's one thing I think the team has done, or the league has done a great job with, and it really shows actually when you look at the national champs for the last 2 years running the Wild. They've got a few box guys, but for the most part, they're field guys that are just very solid lacrosse players who are learning box from a couple of guys who really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's commitment, it's buy-in, it's learning, it's finding your own game. There's there's gonna come a day when Americans are gonna crush the Canadians. It's not gonna be by playing Canadian lacrosse. It's gonna be by playing American lacrosse. That doesn't mean field. That's American box, and we got to find what that style is. And the thought a lot of times is that's going to be more athletic. It's going to be more
I think
spread
using
out.
both hands is going to be huge. I understand the theory of the backhand and everything, but you can't tell me it's a detriment to be able to use both hands.
Yeah, there has to be a space to find it. It is,
Schreiber
but it
does.
does it. Yeah, it doesn't mean that there's going to be a complete like complete
Over,
lapse
yeah.
of what we've learned because they have years on us. The Haudenosaunee have decades, millennials on us. We're we're behind. We're learning, but um, I think the Wild are a really great example of what it could be.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, it's really best learned from actually hands-on experience, doing it, playing it. So year one, obviously, building the plane as you guys were flying it, things went, I think, as good of as possible at nationals. I don't think you could have really expected anything better. Year two, everybody I talked to also was as happy as could be with the way things went. They really, everybody I know liked the round robin play, the way you guys had things set up. Is there anything you as a the coordinator kind of look at and want to kind of tweak? Or I mean, there's obviously something,
Yeah,
but it must be
I
nice to hear everybody's happy.
yeah, I've been shouting this from the mountaintops at the board meetings for a long time, but we need to touch more parts of this league. If we're, I mean, you see it in the Northwest. We talked about it. You're like, yeah, if it's a double-edged sword. If we keep building the Northwest, someone else outside of the Kings are going to come from the Northwest. And I'd be very happy that day. I'd be very sad that day, but give me a couple weeks and I'd be really happy for him. And I want to see,
When
I
you're
want
at
to
the
see, yeah,
nationals as the board member, you might be happy for them. Not the day that you maybe
yeah,
lose the. I understand that.
yeah. The but we have to find an AB model, a East-West model, something that um, brings more teams into the folds and maybe brings more than one teams from each region. They
Wild
kind of
card, maybe out of league play, wild card, something.
well, one of the things we're looking at is like declaring at the beginning of the year, if you're playing for the A model or the B model, and you play out your season and see where you end up, and um, everyone like you still have your in-region games. We don't have enough for a clear-cut AB yet, but we think that might be a step towards it. And there might be some regions where they have enough people to clear cut, but we're not there yet. The East-West model I like is um, would reduce travel. Like we can have the Northeast always wants better arenas because they're from an area that has great
We're
arenas.
spoiled. We're
Yeah,
spoiled with an abundance of facilities.
we're here grateful that a place will let us in their doors. So it's there. I think if we had like an East West model, there's a group that plays out. There's a group West and South that plays out of soccer arenas and need to fly out regardless. You're talking about how it's tough to get to Utica, it's tough to get to Columbus, it's tough to get to Chicago, it's tough to get anywhere from Seattle, and so we're gonna travel regardless. So we'd find an easy place to travel to and get a good arena, and then that come out with two champions, or maybe we have it in four places and there's four champions, and then those four teams or those two teams travel and meet. They'll only two teams have to travel a second time, and that's to play for a national championship. So just something. It has to be an overhaul. I think, like you said, we built the plane while we were flying, and we built back up to where we were. I feel like I think we've passed that with the development we're doing, with the tools we're doing, the stuff like Lax Life, the referee stuff, the partnerships we're building that are actually substantive, not just putting names on Instagrams, um, are huge, and are going to keep building. But we have to change something um, if we're going to have continued growth and sustainability across the board, not just at the top.
No, that makes sense because you'll discourage guys. It's there's a reason there's senior A, there's a reason there's senior B and senior C, and you kind of want to, make it as fair as possible because yes, you might not have the most competitive guys, but if you get a bunch of guys with 1 or 2 years of field, or not, I'm sorry, a box experience that all of a sudden would like to kind of come out and compete. I honestly, the biggest problem I think with trying to make like a wild card, like you said, where you can get maybe two guys out of a division or whatever, is not everybody has the ability to travel for out of league play. Otherwise, it'd be an easy, okay, you're out of league record, you're above this or whatever, you play this many games, you can qualify to.
Yeah,
But it's easier said than done because some of these teams are traveling longer to play,
in region
in-house,
games.
yeah,
Yeah, you
in-region
look at the
games.
Gulf
Then
Coast, and the closest drive is I think 7 hours. And we have teams complaining that they have to drive 2 hours for an away game, and like I don't know if there's not a place I can drive for an away game that's less than 2 hours away from me.
yeah,
So
that's
it is what it is, and I'm the old man yelling from his front porch or something, but someone has to do it for the West Coast.
I love it. All right, so we talked about this Lax Life a little bit. If you haven't checked it out yet, it comes with your NABLL team registration, so definitely check it out. Get a hold of Dave or anybody in the board if you guys have more questions. But now, of course, this is something I want to start doing where we actually go through all of the well, I thought I had them pulled up where we were going to cover the scores real quick, but as we can see now on my
I thought you were about to have me predict
no,
scores.
no, no,
You're
not yet.
putting me in a bad spot without warning your preacher.
No, maybe we should have done that because I had all the tabs loaded and somehow now they've all I'm not sure what happened. They all blanked out. Huh. Must be sucking up all my bandwidth. My son's probably upstairs playing freaking World of Warcraft or whatever kids play nowadays. But no, I thought I had them all up. I was going to try to cover the scores. But yeah, so the league is officially underway. You're seeing guys going. League is, I don't think we've had any big surprises so far. I think the league is kind of playing out. I think Paper City maybe didn't get the start that they got last year against the Spirit, but I also think it's the beginning of the year out. Nobody's going to put too much stock into these games. You're traveling, and for them, that's a far travel from, Thousand Islands. You're going from
But they
Alex Bay to Mass.
they played both ways. They Paper City came up, then Thousand Island came down, and I think Thousand Island won both games. I thought that was pretty telling. The
Well, they won both games with a very short roster, I believe, but you also never know. I know Paper City, a lot of their guys are college involved as far as coaching programs and
yeah,
clinics and stuff. So you never know how like the rosters look because
yeah,
you can miss two or three guys and without me talking to GMs, like I talked to Nate and a little bit, and he just kind of was like, it was a great, parts of the game were great. There's a lot of things. He's obviously excited. I would say is very confident in his team's abilities, but I talked to Paper City, and I mean, nobody thought the way their season went at the regular season that they were going to come out of that playoffs, and they somehow made it out of that super competitive New England region. That which
yeah.
is crazy when you think of the
Dominance we've
story.
seen out of Maine. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, usually it's like that. Everything went through Maine, and even if it didn't, you figured one of these other teams that's been around for a little while might have had their best chance going after Maine. But a bunch of young bucks come out and they said, "Hey, boys, hold on." So a hot goalie can always change everything.
absolutely. Yeah, it's. I was talking to Jim about it recently. They're new to the league, and they were all excited about trying to figure out the schedule. And he's like, well, like if we can't figure this out right, then this guy can't make it, and this guy can't make it. He's not going to qualify, and I need to figure this out so that all my guys are qualified at nationals. So I was like, well, if you want your guys to be qualified at nationals, they have to show up. This is the reason it's a league and not a tournament. It's that work that it takes to qualify. It's that work that it takes to be there and get there. You don't just get a bypass to nationals and and show up with who you want. It has to be a team. It has to be built, and it's the way that it's going to work if we're going to build box into what we want to be in this country.
Well, it's you're not running the Lax Night tournament, which is you show up with a tournament team that you put together for this one thing. You're
Yeah,
building
and that's
something.
great. Yeah,
I mean, that's exactly what it is, though. I mean, because you're building something, and I love how each division is so different because it allows guys like you and the upstate, and I'm sure there's lots of other divisions that do home and homes, but I know like the Metro or downstate, whatever you want to call it, they uh they they do that round robin style where they all show up for a weekend, they all play at one facility, and that works for them, and a home and home style doesn't. And you got to figure one of these years, almost that style helps you for nationals.
yeah.
But I also really enjoy the way that uh, where the Wild, the Golden Bears, what is that one called? I forget. The
The Mid Atlantic.
so the Mid Atlantic, but they all play at one facility on Thursday night, and they just kind of take turns. But it's a set schedule. It's in the middle of the week. It's easy for guys if you kind of have it where you know what nights you're going to be there. Everybody gets to watch everybody. It's a very different atmosphere. I think that would be really cool. I really want to get down there to kind of
Check
do
it
one
out.
of.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to do one of their things because I think that sounds really sweet. Talking to the Wild guys and then
yeah,
talking with Scott and then Brian Custer. Yeah, no, it was I was really impressed with that Mid-Atlantic. There was a lot more going on down there than I thought, and I think it's like that with everything. Like when I talked to the Minneapolis guys and you talk to Nick and you're like, "Oh, wow, you guys have all kinds of talent out there. Why I thought it was only supposed to be in these pockets. How did you guys end up with all this talent?" And but that's another place, just a great team.
yeah. You see the development where people put effort into it, and yeah, it's like I was saying. It's like it's great that there's a great tournament like Blackstein. There's great opportunities for you to do that. But there has to be a great opportunity for teams who want to spend a summer together and put something into to win a championship that's more than just a weekend. And like you said, it's you see the different regions with their different flavors, their different ways they do things. Like we try to set a bare minimum standard of this is what we think it needs to be done to make it to nationals, and the
Well,
regions
you
have their
have
own ability to make it however they want it to be. By
right with the
if it's
same
every Tuesday,
rules
if it's
though.
whatever. Yeah,
It's
yeah, exactly.
the same rules, but you allow the formats of the game to be different. But everything's four quarters, and you've got different variations of that. But it's really the same rules. But like you said, everybody is allowed to do what works for them. It's very interesting. I think it's honestly the way of the the nationals. It's the only way you can try to find a true nationals champion because each of these divisions, if they had to follow the same format, it sounds like in the Mid Atlantic, they couldn't find a spot to run home and homes.
No, not at all.
they're happy just to have a spot to play. And it sounds like you guys kind of run into the same things with finding facilities. But I mean, shout out to the New Orleans and all those guys down there because they're driving 8 hours to play in
Yeah,
region. Wow.
yeah. It's a haul. Like I said, it takes the people who really love this to make it happen. Everyone's losing money on it. Everyone's paying gas. Everyone's
And these
paying
Long
whatever it
Island
takes.
teams,
Lights, like
a bunch of new Long Island teams. I can't wait to see the Seneca Serpents. I'm going to get to see them soon. They're playing against the Yeti, but that one you're going to end up knowing a bunch of guys on that team, I bet, because they're when we started streaming, you started getting a bunch of guys that hadn't played a few years in Can-Am that all of a sudden were like, "Oh wait, we got this on video. My kids can actually watch it now
yeah,
and see that I wasn't I'm not making it up." But I know they've got quite a few guys on that team that maybe didn't want to play a Can-Am season because Can-Am is just it's a different monster. They're playing with wooden
yeah,
sticks, beating the snot out of you. You're playing, 2 games a week every week, and just it's a grueling, grinding schedule. But the NABLL, some of these divisions you only have 6 games. 6 games versus 30. That's a lot easier for somebody who's but then you can
going to
also
work
I
the
mean
next
yeah,
day.
they're
Yeah,
all playing pickup lacrosse and they're all playing different things, so it's not like you're only playing that much. But anyways, I do have to bring this up. I didn't really get to shout it out yet. Nikki Snow. I awarded this one on my own. From now on, though, these are going to be given. So in the comments, whenever we go do like the NABL Nationals, or if I go do a tournament, we're gonna start doing BSP best goal and best save in tournament. I, I was not nearly as prepared as I thought I was, which is probably a surprise for anybody who knows me. But we are going to start doing that, and I would like in the comments for everybody to vote. But congratulations, Nicky Snow, the first NABLL. I gave him that goal. That I don't know how you give anybody else it. He had that game winner behind the back going into what was that, the quarterfinals, right? Or
yeah. In the
semis?
playoffs, elimination game,
Yeah.
just walk down the middle and from outside, stuck at top corner on a backhand. It was. I think I was helping you on that broadcast too. I just can't believe the gall to throw that shot, let alone to know that it's going to go in, is incredible.
Yeah, and then when you see it, there was literally a lacrosse ball's width above the goalie's shoulder that he puts it over.
Yeah,
So it's not like there was a huge space or he had the goalie completely beat and he was wide open. He just barely snuck it in. And yeah, Nicky Snow, I give him all the credit for that. That is my goal of the NABLL 2023. It's hard because I might even just make one for Spencer Love just for the backflip.
right. Yeah,
Best
he
Selly.
scored he scored on me and did the backflip and then walked by and apologized for it like I was going to be mad at it. Like it was funny. He's a good guy, man. I like him.
No, I do like it. He seems like a very respectful man as far as he doesn't do it to taunt people and he kind of, you know, made sure it was cool with everybody and yeah, he
I
seems
think
like a
I
great
think I think other people make him do it more than he decides to do it.
Oh,
If I had to
no,
call, if I had
I
to
called
call it
for it.
out,
I
yeah,
completely called for it. In the
that's
I think
funny.
it's amazing. I think it's the I think honestly that's kind of you want to entertain people, you want people to watch that just aren't, brother, sister, other guys that play in the league because you have some of the most talented players. I mean, you have all these young world, lacrosse players. You had how many what, the one year you had both U21 goalies out there.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
they're
in other years, you've had, multiple world goalies. Like if you were to go through all the players that are on the different world teams, we need to do that. I've been telling everybody, make sure you guys send a email to Rachel. We're going to put Rachel in charge of this.
yeah.
If you play on a team or help with a team that is involved in world lacrosse, and you also help or play on a team that is in the NABLL, please send Rachel an email. She's going to compile a list, and she's going to be super happy that we just put her in charge of that. But she's going to compile the.
I think she's already working on this.
Well, she was.
Let's be
That's
honest.
why.
Yeah,
Yeah. No. When we talked
yeah,
before, she brought it up. So she.
perfect.
No, she said it the last time. The first episode we had, and then I plan on having her on right before Worlds, basically after the Nationals
After
to
nationals, yeah,
yeah, to go through it all. I'm excited. Another thing is, if you are a new program, please know that you are all welcome to. We would love to get all the new GMs on to talk. We'd like to have the regular GMs on to talk. We're supposed to do this for 45 minutes. We've already been 10 minutes past our 45 minutes, but I just love talking with you guys. It's so much fun, Dave.
Yeah,
And to find out like that you played in Onondaga, as big as this world is, it's so small sometimes.
yeah.
When
Especially when you narrow it down like this with lacrosse and you build around these good people. Um, yeah, it's great to meet everyone. It's great to it's like feels like reunions every time we're coming back together at these events.
No, yeah, I love it. That's a great way to look at it. I love the reunions. We really look forward and honestly, your commentary, yeah, no, it's getting better and better. Like everybody in this in the league last year was, yeah, no, it's every year. We improve a little bit, a little bit. I'm excited for everybody to see what the stream looks like from Utica. We've got a couple tricks up our sleeve to add some different cameras. The other thing is we have the necessary equipment to do the rink simultaneously, so there is no more, okay, we're going to put this over here and help somebody else records it, and then we got to upload it. They will both simultaneously be able to be done. So super excited about that.
Yeah, it's I yeah, we're gonna be able to simultaneous broadcast, show it live. I think we're gonna have some of the best people in lacrosse out there. It's one of the best venues we have in box lacrosse. Great place to check out to have a beer, sit down and watch the game.
Yeah, that's
We're
right. You got
happy.
to check it out. So you've been to the Nexus. I forgot with the USA tryouts at Laxney. I've got a bunch of highlights that I should have pulled out, but instead I was working on Nicky Snow's and I accidentally put his out. I thought about it as I was tagging you. I was like, this is really not cool, but and I've got a
I
ton of Dave
saw
highlights.
I
I
saw
did
the
make sure it wasn't on you.
yeah, I was gonna say I saw him wind up to shoot. I was like, Beecher, what'd you do to me? Like it was great though. You do a great
My
job, man.
goodness.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And we definitely appreciate, I've learned a lot that you might not necessarily know that you've taught me, but getting to talk with you and your guy last year, and it has just been a blast every time we get together. I really appreciate everything. Any last words, I guess, that you would like to say as the coordinator about people getting in touch with you or anything else?
Yeah, reiterate it again. I'm here to put the community in touch with each other. Please reach out. Please let me know what's going on in your area. What we can do to help. Um, I'd love to be involved any way I can and grow any way we can.
Absolutely. And like we stream our games, but I know the Box Lacrosse channel that's an app. If anybody I think they just need two iPads or an iPhone and an iPad or something, but they've got a great system. If that's your only way to get things streamed, please send us your highlights on social media. Make sure you tag NABLL. Make sure you tag this because as we get going with the season, we're going to start mainly next week now. We wanted to get through all the board members as far as the ones that are with the directorship, the programs that are offered to the team, so that way everybody knows the available things. But with that comes, if you have a kid on your team who scores a great highlight and it should be nominated for the goal of the week, we're going to try to get an NABLL goal of the week plan on here. Start some smack talk, start talking power numbers and power rankings. And if I'm good with anybody moving except for the Wild, they're number one till nationals for me.
Yeah,
I
I
don't care if
mean,
they get swept.
I was gonna say there's some tough competition down there. You never know. You never know who's gonna show up, but there no one's proven them wrong yet. So
No,
yeah,
it's been awesome. Thanks, Dave, so much, and we will definitely do this again, I'm sure.
absolutely. We'll talk soon.